If you're looking to increase your cloud architect salary, I'm going to show you how. If you want to increase your cloud architect salary, the answer is simply not learning more AWS services or Azure services or Kubernetes or Terraform or any other tech tool. Look, those skills matter, but they're table stakes for the job. The cloud architects who own the most are not paid the most because of their tech knowledge. They're paid because they create the most business value. And in this video, we're going to show you how to increase your business value and how to increase your cloud architect salary. I'm going to begin with technical knowledge because this is a key sticking point for many people. Technical knowledge is important. Your technical knowledge gets you in the room. You must understand networking and security and compute and storage and identity and data and even how to design resilient and high availability systems. But that technical knowledge alone is not going to make you a high value architect. All that technical knowledge is going to help you answer is, can you design a working cloud solution? But the biggest part of the cloud architect salary is not about building technology that works or designing technology that just works. Your cloud architect salary is based upon the impact of your architecture to the business. How it helps that business increase revenue, decrease operating costs, for example, reduce risk. And that's the difference, because while the cloud engineer is paid for their ability to do things, the cloud architect is going to be paid for their judgment. So as architects, we decide not how to build it, but whether a platform should exist in the first place. And if so, why should we use it? How that platform, for example, the cloud platform, will support the business's goals. What business trade-offs are we accepting with this architecture? And what should the organization even invest in the future? That's how you increase your salary, when you start answering those questions. So the real question is, what skills are going to help you move from that technical architect to that super high paid executive architect and be seen as a strategic advisor? Well, the first skill to increase that can have a major impact on your salary is your business acumen or your business knowledge. Business acumen will mean that you can learn your client and understand your client's business. For example, how that client makes money, how that client will spend in money, how that client can compete with other clients in the same industry. What's it going to take for that client to grow? What kind of risks does that client need to manage? And even how can that client serve its customers better? And that's where many tech professionals get stuck, and they start thinking about the tech, and they start talking about Kubernetes or microservices or serverless. But the executives that are going to fund the architecture don't care. They don't care if it sounds modern. They don't care about anything in the technology. The executive cares what's going to be the impact on my business. And the cloud architect that gets paid the most speaks differently. They will say things like, this architecture will reduce time to market, or this design will lower operational risk, or the cloud platform and the way we're using it is going to improve the customer experience. See, we're no longer talking about technology, designing technology, or even selling technology at that point. We're designing business outcomes, and technology is our tool to get there. And this matters so much because so many digital initiatives fail to meet their business goals. McKinsey data shows that, for example, 7 to 8 out of 10 migrations provide zero business value. But when an architect can connect the technology strategy to business value, that architect becomes incredibly valuable. Because the company really doesn't need another person who can mention or name cloud services. The company needs someone that can create a technology strategy that's going to pay off for the business. So how do you prove your business acumen as an architect? You show it off everywhere in your interviews, your client meetings, and your architectural decisions. And I'll give you some examples. Instead of leading with tools, start leading with business drivers. So instead of saying, I would use auto scaling, load balancers, and multi-AZ deployments, I would change something else. And it might sound like, first, I would like to understand the impact of downtime to the business. Is this a system that supports revenue or patient care or financial transactions? and what kind of resiliency is necessary for the business. See, we're not just talking about technical features. So instead of saying I would use a multi-cloud architecture, I would change that to I would recommend a multi-cloud architecture as each minute of downtime costs the business $3 million and the business cannot sustain more than 1.5 hours of downtime. And the only way we can meet those needs is to use 2 cloud providers. And that's how architects think. We don't ask what can we build, we ask what should we build? Why should we build it? And what is the business outcome that's going to be the goal of our architecture? Business acumen by itself is still not enough because the best architectures will fail if you can't get the executives and the stakeholders and the teams to support it. And that's where your executive skills come in. And executive skills can literally double or triple your architect salary. And the reason is executive skills help you operate with senior leadership. When you can speak the language of the executive, when you understand the executive's priorities, when you can help those executives manage trade-offs and you can build trust with those executives, you have a lot more opportunity. And here's the thing to remember. Cloud architecture is not just a design activity, it's a decision-making activity. Architects and the business are constantly making trade-offs of, say, speed versus control, or cost versus resilience, or standardization versus flexibility, or even security versus usability. It's all trade-offs. And these trade-offs are not just technical decisions. These trade-offs are business decisions. And business decisions require executive thinking. So a really high-value architect can sit with the chief information officer or chief financial officer or chief technology officer or product leaders and help them make better decisions. And that's why executive skills can have such a dramatic increase on your salary. The more senior the problem becomes, the more valuable the architect becomes. The more business skills or business risk or business anything that is attached to the architectural decision, the more valuable that architect becomes. And the people who can align technology strategy with business goals are the ones that are typically paid the most. Because architecture excellence is about making sure that we build the right thing for the right reason with the right trade-offs at the right time. So the next set of skills that has a massive impact on your salary is really going to be your communication skills. And when I say communication skills, I'm not just talking about speaking clearly. I'm talking about the ability to make people understand you, care what you're talking about, agree to what you're describing, and then act. And a cloud architect is going to have to communicate with many different audiences. A cloud architect will communicate with engineers who are actually looking for technical clarity, and then 10 minutes later, we're going to be speaking with executives that are looking for business value. Security teams may want risk reduction, and finance wants control. Product is going to want speed, and operations is looking for scalability and stability. So what we have to do as architects is translate between all of these goals. And that translation ability is extremely valuable. Because most architectures that don't provide real value are not caused by a missing cloud service. They're caused by misalignment between strategy and technology. And this happens when people do not agree on the goal, or they don't understand the trade-offs, or they don't understand why the architecture matters. And that's why communication in the architect world is not a soft skill. Communication is a key architecture skill. Now let me give you the simplest way to know whether you're thinking like a high salary architect or a lower level technical resource. Ask yourself this question. When you explain an architecture, do you mostly describe technology or do you explain the business impact? If you mostly say, I know AWS, I know Azure, I know Kubernetes or Terraform, you may get some technical credibility. But it doesn't automatically position you for a high-paying architect role or any architect role for that matter. Now compare it to this. I design a cloud strategy that reduces risk. I align cloud platforms with product growth. I help executives make better technology investment decisions. That's a different level of positioning. That sounds like an executive architect. And the executive architects earn by far more than the regular architects. So I want you to be that architect that sounds like someone who can advise leaders, because you can. I want you to be that architect that can influence funding. I want you to be that architect that can create a real measurable business impact, because business impact is what drives your salary higher, higher, and higher. So what should you learn next? If you want to increase your cloud architect salary, do not stop at learning just technology. Do not make the mistake of thinking architecture is engineering. Yes, I do want you to build your technical fundamentals and then build the skills that are going to separate you from the rest. Increase your business acumen. Increase your executive communication. Increase your leadership skills. Learn how to better manage stakeholders. Learn how to think like a financial executive and communicate to the CFO that way. Learn how to create better governance structures. Learn how to create better architectural strategies that drive business results. Increase your executive presence, because technical knowledge gets you into the conversation, but impact makes you valuable in that same conversation. And your value is what's going to drive your cloud architect salary. Now, if you'd like to become a cloud architect or an enterprise architect or a security architect or an AI architect, don't build your career around certifications alone. Build your career around business skills, executive skills, communication skills, leadership skills. And then you have the ability to turn technology into measurable business value. That's what we teach at Go Cloud Careers. So if you want to learn how to become a real cloud architect, not just a certified technologist, join us on our next architecture webinar, which is completely free. It's live on Zoom. And we'll talk about what we do as architects, whether it be a cloud architect, a security architect, an AI architect, for example, the exact set of skills that you need to be successful as an architect, what hiring managers are looking for when they actually hire an architect, what belongs in your architect portfolio to help you get hired, and even how to build your brand and your credentials and what's appropriate to become an architect. You can join any of these free architecture webinars. To sign up, the link is in the description of this video. They're free, and you can ask me any questions you want about architecture careers live on Zoom. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell to be notified of new videos to assist you in your architecture career. This is Mike Gibbs signing off for now, and I hope to see you in a free webinar or another video real soon. Take care.